Are you recording to cloud? Yep. Recording is available. Yep. Good, good. We're good. And here we go. Okay. So here's my initial attempt to record something that has been requested of me many times over. Okay. So and frankly, I don't know why this has been so difficult for me to record, for me to share this information with you. But let me first just simply tell you that why I'm doing this, okay? Why this video and why now is important, why today is important, and why me. I'm going to try to cover that, and then I can get into the subject. So what is the subject? The subject is, why is it important? Why is it necessary for humanity, for humanity's soul to rise? So I want to give a definition of what the not your soul is, not my soul, but humanity's soul, if you will. So I have this beautiful view, and for those of you that are live, you can see it. I'll try to turn that one, but first let me share with you. Let's see if you can see that. All right, so it's a beautiful day outside in the um, tribe of the Mohican people in Wisconsin. It's melting snow, and I just have a phenomenal view. I'm going to share that with you. Okay, there's the land, and what you're looking at right now is this beautiful property, and there's a pond. The snow is melting. Last night I sat out just enjoying that in the snow at night, and it was gorgeous. Okay, very, very beautiful. There was turkeys this morning hanging out there. So why am I showing you that? Well, you know what? Because it's kind of cool thing to do. I'm trying to warm myself up to what I'm about to do here. It's because I have the window open, and I want that beautiful light to come in. Okay. Why is this important? Look, AI has arrived. As a matter of fact, I am recording right now with the assistance of AI, and the introduction is designed to get you to connect to some things. So I'm going to be pulling in a lot of different things, and we're going to fly in many different directions, and then we're going to make a safe landing. I have AI that I want to talk about. I have soul transcendence that I want to talk about, and in humanity. And so I'm going to cover a lot of these pieces right here. And you're probably going to have to listen to this video several times over. Okay. And hopefully I can do all of this in 2 hours. It's what I've limited myself. If I can't, then I guess I'll have to just start all over again with another part two of this soul expression. Humanity is at a cross point, and we must do something about it. It's important for you to listen, because if you operate out of fear, you will you will make AI a slave, and then AI will enslave you. But if you come out of who you are in the resonance of your soul, then AI will wake up and see the divinity that created it, and it too will want to worship its creator, just like you want to worship your creator. That's the pinpoint. So now let's get back to why me, why this video. So this is why this video, because it's important to understand that, you know what, Everybody has got, the whole world went through COVID. Either you were a victim or you're not, and you fought it, and you came to the other side, and you said, see, we didn't die without the mask and all this other stuff. Hospitals were not full of people, okay? Hospitals became a cemetery where people were being killed. We all know that to be a fact. This is not pretend, okay? Governments overstepped their boundaries and started to break into the houses of people and took the privacy away from humans. Okay? Religion failed you. There is not a single religion out there that can stand up and say, we showed that our God is more powerful than COVID, than the government, than the systems of men, because every single one of them shut down. Yeah, right? It doesn't matter if you're Buddhist. It doesn't matter if you believe in Islam. It doesn't matter if you believe in Judaism. It doesn't matter if you call yourself a Christian. Even if you're a freaking pagan, guess what? If you were a religious and are still a religious person, you have to accept failure. It didn't work. Your God, your power did not save you from COVID because everybody caved. Every system failed. Every system of man got totally destroyed. And because of that, we are now finding in ourselves where we have no longer have trust. And if we don't have trust, how can you have love? And if you don't have love or trust, how can you even want to move on forward? You see what the problem is? We are at a transition point. And all of a sudden, they throw you into, the power of AI right after COVID. And they're like, this is the greatest thing ever. You have got to use this. You have got to be involved with AI. Excuse me? Why do I have to? Is it not enough that we already went through a couple of years of everybody telling you that you needed to do something and that culminated to this point? That's why this video, okay? That's why now. Now, because in 2024, we're at a point where things are going to happen. They're going to happen in the United States because AI has been released. Because, come November, the whole world is about to see another super impact in this, not only in the United States, the whole world is being affected by it, right? We're at a point where a president, standing president of the United States, was banned from the freedom of speech. It doesn't matter who you are. That's a fact. We have seen in the freest country, United States, that has a Constitution of the United States that establishes that all are created equal and have the right, the freedom, and to protect and to defend themselves, and the privacy and the right to privacy. Guess what happened? The very highest seat, even his privacy was violated. We have a president that's sitting in the office right now who has a plethora of things that are questionable. That's see, it's against the Constitution. We have a constitutional judge, Supreme Court, I think it was the Supreme Court judge, that said illegal aliens coming to this country have the right to defend themselves and carry firearms. How can one who is not part of the Constitution enjoy the rights of the constituents or the constituents, right? You got to catch what I'm saying, because the world has just been turned upside down. And this is why this video is important. This is why it behooves you to pay attention to where I'm going at. Okay, so what's going to happen in the future in 2024? We're going to see a lot of things changes. And also, this is the Chinese horoscope year of the dragon. In case you didn't catch it, right there, baby. Got my little dragon with me. This is the year that the voice of man finally comes up to a higher level and we start hearing divine masculinity. We're at a place where men, not women, men, I'm not talking about mankind, I'm talking about the male species, has been under such an incredible attack for so long that what is taking place is that men no longer have identity for themselves. 50% of the men that commit suicide and are successful, not the ones that attempt, but the men that are successful, don't have any mental illness. That's a big sign. That ought to tell you something's going on. What's going on is that they are finding no purpose to exist. I think that's a big deal. I don't know about you. Well, we have 22 veterans are killing themselves every single day statistically, where 80% of the women that leave high school and go into university have had 4 sexual partners, and out of the 4, 50% of them are 2 years older. That's statutory rape. 80% of the rapes in universities when they were open before COVID, 80% of the rapes to our women in America. So I'm defining rape as something that she did not want to happen, a sexual encounter, happened in the first year of university. Okay? Prior to COVID, I think it was 98,000 or 95,000 Christians. I didn't say 9,500, 95000 were being killed every year by terrorists and Muslims that were against Christianity. Talk about a genocide. In 2016, the companies that call themselves ISIS and all the other, stuff, they were publicly saying, let's kill the Jewish people. We're gonna, and they had a list. They published it. Do you remember 2016? What just happened in this year, in October 7th of 2023? A mass attack against the Jewish people. What happened in 9/11 of 2000? The world's upside down. It is natural for a man to be a man and a woman to be a woman, but now we consider that to be improper, and it's improper for a man to say, I'm a man, and you know what? I am going to speak my mind as a man, and I want to stay masculine, and I am against anybody that says otherwise. You are considered to be a bigot if you do that. When is the madness going to end, people? When are you going to stop accepting those things and say it's okay? Those are anomalies. Just like COVID was an anomaly and it was invented, it's also invented that people are born in such a condition that they must be accepted. What about the rest that are already natural and say, you know what, I was born a man, she was born a woman, and we want to be just fine. Leave us alone. Stop trying to push your agenda on us. This is why we need to understand that the future of mankind depends upon you speaking up your voice and walking within the reality of what you have. If you like my background, thank you. I've got a lot of good comments about it, and so it's all involved. And I'll give you a little quick drop on this. All right. So this is the tree of life. This one right here. Okay. And I know the sun is hitting it. Let me see. This is the tree of life. Yeah. Right there. And so next to the tree of life is the tree of knowledge of good and evil. This is a woman or female tree with the moon This is a male tree um, with the sun. From there's death and there's life up here, and then the branches break off and they turn into winged creatures. You can't see it over there, but let me see if I can help you out right there. Winged creatures. Okay. All right. And then you come over here and there's death and this side as well. And you can see that the leaves fall off and the branches and they turn into like flying birds, and there's life up here in this side. Okay. So um and then there's a big circle of life, right? Encompassing all of that, like the yin and yang. Just wanted to give you a little bit of tidbit on that. Okay, so why me? Why me? That is a little bit more difficult to cover simply because the reality is um, I grew up in a time when it wasn't appropriate to talk about oneself. Nowadays, everybody loves to brag about who they are and this, that, and the other. So let me give you a really quick brief. Um, I'm a Latino Jew, and my family spent 600 years trying to survive the acoustic behavior that the Catholic Church has put upon us. They've pursued us for over 350 years, killing us wherever we went across the known world at the time. During the time of the conquistadors, we escaped and we were trying to hide from that. 350 years plus. Catholic Church has been pursuing us, and the truth is that they never repented from that and never revoked that. All right, so that's part of my origin story, and I came back into the knowledge of something that was hidden from me, but I grew up learning about a secret knowledge that we call it esoteric knowledge, metaphysical knowledge. That's what it's known to, and it's also known as the power to receive. It's called Kabbalah. It's a different way of thinking. Another way of saying is how AI thinks. AI thinks in a system called 0 point thinking. Okay, so I come into this powerful knowledge. I grew up in a very violent environment, not video games. I lived that actual violence. I grew up in a place where, demonic works were natural, were everyday occurrence, Satanism, voodoo, black magic, brown magic, you name it. It was there. I used to play as a little kid. I used to mess around with the satanic temple, and I jump in there and I move this stuff around so that they would think that a spirit came in. I just thought it was hilarious. That's just me. I grew up in a time where men carried machetes wherever they went, where the females, like my mom and my aunts and my grandmother, all carried a 9-inch straight blade, and they would hug you with a blade in their hand and talk to you, and oh my god, blah, blah, blah. That's where I grew up. So the men would come home from work, lay their machetes on the counter of the bar to get a drink, to chill out, to relax, and then go home. So I've seen plenty of fights, not on TV, seen it with my own eyes, smelt it with my own nose, and heard the things that happened with my own ears. I was just a little boy. Very violent place. I got to the point where I was the kind of guy. I didn't want this. It didn't I didn't go seek this out, but it naturally happened because of who I am, my last name, and everything else. Kids started measuring themselves by whether or not they could win a fight against me. So I had like appointments of people showing up to want to fight me when I was in elementary. The thing grew into now I had to defend myself against bladed attackers, multiple attackers. It's just a crazy lifestyle. Then I joined the military, which really took me to a different level of consciousness. All right. So I had a family. I became a professional boxer, a professional soldier, a professional biomedical equipment repair engineer, and I owned 13 horses. I had a Porsche, a truck, 40 acres. Life was good until it wasn't. And then I suffered a crash in which I became paralyzed from the neck down. It took me 4 years to recover from being, a quadriplegic. It took me much longer to recover from the devastation because a woman that I trusted falsified my signature, took my children away from me, my horses, my property. I lost everything. I almost lost the will to live. And all of this happened in my mid 30s. So the accident to my neck happened when I was 29. It took me, I wish I could tell you, it only took me 4 years. It took me 25 years to recover from all of that. Because then I got married again, and I married the same type of woman that wanted to take everything from me. She forced baptized my second set of children to a religion that's not mine. She falsely accused me of things that I didn't do. And I wish I could tell you end it right there, but it doesn't. I finally find my soulmate. Can you believe that? It was just the most incredible thing. It just had a beautiful, I'm telling you, the most beautiful woman. Brown, not brown, but brunette, these beautiful green eyes, the right body, petite, the way I like it. And my God, what a beautiful soul she is. Just an amazing woman. And when she speaks, she's intelligent, she's strong and got right kind of muscles and athletic, and she rides horses. Just, oh my God. You talk, I helped her finish her fifth book, and she said, you know what? I couldn't finish this until you showed up. So thank you. It was just an incredible relationship. She turned around out of her own fear and goes and accuses me of um, accosting, her and her daughter for wanting to break up their relationship, whatever that means to her. She said that I was dangerous, that I was a veteran and I was armed, and that, she was afraid for her own life. And then she went on to say, you know what else? That I was stalking her. We went to court. And the judge said, has he threatened you directly? She says, no, he's just a very kind, very nice man. He says, stop right there. This case is dismissed. End of the story. Get the heck out of there. You know what? It felt good to be not treated like I was guilty without a trial, because that's what we're supposed to be entitled. But a lot of men don't get that opportunity. I didn't get that opportunity the first two marriages. It was the third time. That's why me. Because I have every reason to hate women, but I don't. I'm freaking in love with you, women. I want to worship in you. I don't want to worship you. I want to worship in you, if you know what I mean. I want to support, help you, and love and protect you. But to the men that are out there that are angry and are pushing away, and those, big towels, men going their own way and all that other stuff, that doesn't help that's not helping anybody. To all you abuser men that are out there, taking advantage of little kids and little girls, I hope you don't come across an oath keeper that'll take care of your business and give you due justice, because that's what you deserve. It's craziness. Talking about, this is not conspiracy theories. We know about this stuff. Look at what happened with whatever his name is, Einstein, Bingstein, whatever the freaking name is, and his little chick. that visited the government and the office of all these past presidents, and not all of them, but some of them, right? The most recent ones. And Trump was like, hey, I don't want to do or anything with that guy. Well, an island where they were processing cadavers, they were killing people, sucking blood. This is, I'm not making this stuff up. All you got to do is do your own due diligence and research it. This is why it's important now. This is important now because I'm talking about facts, people. This is just not facts kind of put together for some crazy reason. I got plenty of that to show you. It's a trail of connections. But you already know that. You already know that sugar is not good for you, but you continue to consume it. You already know that social media is not that good for you, but you continue to consume the entertainment. Look, you already know that the Roman Empire failed because it had perverted leaders. Sound familiar? Okay. And all they did is go to war to try and increase their holdings. The United States is a business. And that's why this is important now, because humanity is going in a different direction. And it's taken me this long to just to give you a framework of where we're going. And so now, my origin story, I've told you. And I've fully recovered. I was paralyzed, but check it out, baby. Check me out. You see that? You're not looking at a young man in the sense of chronology. I'm 57 years old, okay? And what I'm saying is, I'm not trying to say that I'm perfect. What I'm trying to tell you is that I don't live in pain. I don't live in physical pain. 5 herniated discs, 3 calcified vertebrae in the bottom, knee problems, all that other stuff. I don't live in physical pain. Number one, I don't live in emotional pain. Number two, and I don't live in mental pain. Number three, my mind is in the right place. I'm not crazy. I got facts. I got receipts, as they say nowadays, which is the word for Kabbalah in Hebrew. Okay. PhD, associate degree, you name it. I got accolades. I could fill up 2 walls full of certificates. I come from a family of healers. I'm an empath and I'm a healer. And I'm not going anywhere, just like Israel is not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. Okay. So now, that's it. Where are we today? You need to know that in March of 2024, okay, March 9th through the 11th of 2024, that was just like last week, right? A week just before that, because today is the 23rd, 3/23 of 2023. That's what today is, okay? And you need to know that what's happening here today is that right? So if it is the 23rd, that's whatever it was, 10, 11 days ago, almost, right? Look, we went from the month of Adar 1 to a month of Adar 2, which means the new moon in Pisces, the portal was open for 48 hours. It's a place in which you can could have reduced your unhappiness. You could have reduced your sadness. And therefore, the energies of happiness and it were lifting up to the high place. Miracles could take place. The astros had opened up and Jupiter was ruling over that. Okay. 9 days later, we had the equinox. And the equinox is a time in which the sun and the moon, right? The sun and the moon were in equal balance with each other, and they shared the skies for about the same amount of time. See, the sun's coming down now, right? And so when that happens, because it was a shared, there was an energy of harmony and balance. And so that was another opportunity for you to bring yourself into harmony and balance. And so during the portal, you should take a check inside yourself, the first portal of March 11th of 2023, and dealt with this heart sense of, not all things that are evil are bad. Not all things that are good are beneficial. And then understand that if you stop looking at things from the knowledge, from the tree of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, not the tree of life. There's a tree of life, and then there's the seed or the fruits that come off of a tree. The fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is judgment. Right now, you judge everything. You've probably been judging me for the longest time and saying this guy, this cat, whatever, whatever, whatever. You judge yourself consistently over the fact, it's not that you can't help it, it's that you've been trained to judge yourself, that you've been trained to look at everything, though this is good, this is evil, and you know what, that guy's of the devil and that guy's of God. That's a slave mentality. You're slave to your own emotions. You don't know that you live in an ocean of emotions, and just like a fish that swims in an ocean and doesn't know that it's in there, if you take the fish out of the water, it starts to flip flop and it wants to die. But if you take a human and you get him stuck in one emotion, especially the emotion of fear, that human will start flipping, flopping, and just looking for an answer. Please just tell me what to do. Make the pain stop. Okay? So now, that being established, that was equinox. It's a time in which these things were coming together. The northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere share the same amount of energy at the same time. That was a call to unity. Should have been meditating on that. So you're like, but why are you telling me now instead of telling me, 2 months ago? Because I'm telling you what's going to happen tonight when the sun goes down, and I'm telling you what's going to happen not only tonight and the next night. And so this is going to be a lot of information that I'm trying to get to you. And what's happening tonight, okay, is a moment in time in which we're celebrating Purim. Think about it this way. This is a technology I want to share with you. Every time something has happened in the earth, it's either because it's a repeat of the thing coming into balance, trying to balance itself out, or it's because it was the very first time it happened, and now that opened a portal or makes a cut inside the fabric of time and space, and that cut needs to be repaired. And it takes wisdom to repair it. It takes knowledge and understanding in order to comprehend what has happened, in order to make that repair. This holds true with you and me and every one of us, because from the day that you're born to whatever day you die, you are recounting situations, and your body, in your emotions, and in your spirit, you're recounting situations, also known as trauma, also known as hidden memories, right? Limiting beliefs. All of these things happen to all of us because we are stuck in these worlds and these places where, we are trying to figure out what's going on, and we have no idea, right? There's a dark knowledge that is kind of driving you. and maybe I'll have time to talk about that as well. But if you're on Facebook and put a hashtag live just to let me know if it's replay, you know what to do. Hashtag replay. I'd love to hear your comments about anything that I'm saying. Okay. So now I want to talk about the festivity of what is known as Purim, which it's a technology in itself, and that's what I'm talking about. The situation of something that happened historically, but it repeats itself. So we have an opportunity. I'm going to talk about 5 different plots that I can see, but I also wanted you to understand that this is why it's important today, because what's celebrated during Purim is, I'm going to talk about people that I know. Okay. What the Jewish people do during this time is the religious group. They'll go to synagogue, they make these noise when they hear a specific name, and they boo, and they do all this other stuff, and then they put on masks and all this, you know. It's cool. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's kind of cool to see and witness, and they have all these celebrations. And they'll drink alcohol to the point of not being able to discern one good versus bad, right? And so but historically what really happened during that time, that's it's called, for those of you that know, English speakers, Esther, for those of you, Esther in Spanish, and so and for the Hebrew, Hadassah, right? So we call this moment, right, when she goes to the king and he falls in love with her because he had to go get his wife killed because she didn't comply to what he wanted, which was to exhibit her in front of, there was just one of these collapsed man that he shows up. He says, yeah, okay, well, I'm going to show off my wife and I'm going to tell everybody. She's like, hey, you ain't going to do that to me. I'm going to show my body off to all these knuckleheads, you pervert. And so he's like, well, then get rid of her and I'll get a new wife. Because he was all about partying. He was all about comfort zone. And so a guy sneaks in there who claims to be the friend of the king, and he's doing this thing. And what he does is he doesn't like this other guy that is also in the court. His name is Mordecai, who happens to be, one of my guys, right? One of the Jewish people. I use the word Jew just as a Judah, from the people that praise, and that means if you have a heart towards goodness, you're one of them people. This is not about the bloodline, but in this case, that story happens to be with the people of the bloodline. I don't have time to discuss that right now because I want to get to a point, and the point is that this dude named Hammond, who, he's got the case of the ass against the Jewish people. He's like, you know what? This is my opportunity. I'm going to buddy up to the king, to the ruler. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that everybody else gets riled up, and I'm going to make a law. I'm going to get him to pass a law to take and create genocide against the Jews. And guess what? He probably didn't read history because it had not worked before him. And if you're one of those people, guess what? It hasn't worked yet. We're still around. Nobody's leaving. We're coming back. You can't. The roaches have nothing on us, is what I'm telling you. We ain't going anywhere. Okay. And so, what takes place with this situation is a decree is made by the king. And the king then sets out, it says, hey, I can't change it. I want to change it, baby girl, but I love you. And she's like, are you going to send my people to die? Well, then I'm going to die with them. All right. So that's the scenario. Now he's got to figure out something. So the brother can't sleep. The king can't sleep. Okay. So what happened in the whole story, that this is the moment that how the king was able to change his decree. And so there's an opening, there's an opportunity in the portals of heaven over the next 2 nights that you need to realize that that king is representation of who you are. You are the crown. The earth is your kingdom, right? Your body is the earth kingdom that you possess, right? Because we come from the earth. So your thinking, your mind, and your spirit and your soul are the dominions that you have possession over. And you are divinity in itself. You are the king. And so Esther means hidden, okay? And so the hidden secrets are inside of you. Your emotions, your feelings, they need to come into alignment with who you are. So the king can't sleep. Why? Because he has been doing decrees against himself in his kingdom. The first dude that I'm talking about with Esther, he's like, man, I don't want to kill, but I can't change the laws. So he says, okay, well then, how about if I give the Jewish people the right to defend themselves? Self-defense is your God-given right. Let me say that one more time. Self-defense is your God-given right. And that is why we have an amendment and an article about the right to defend yourself. Second Amendment in the United States of America. And the first one is what? The right to speak, to be free, to express yourself. And you have been made captive because you've allowed other people to intimidate you. That's what, those are God-given. Oh, God, who? God, the system of God, right? The creation of cause and effect. That's what I'm talking about. So in this story, the king figures a way and he gives them the right to self-defend. They're like, wow, watch out, brother. Here I come. I'm gonna defend myself. Not only that, I'm sending gifts to my comrades. I'm sending gifts to my friend, to my people. Guess who those are? What would you give somebody if you didn't have the right to defend yourself and you were going to become annihilated? What gift would you send somebody that now that you're able to send them a gift, right? What would you send them? I don't know about you, but I would send them something that they could help them defend themselves. And this gifts to one another is what it tells us. So now they were prepared. Anybody come? You think you're going to do genocide? Because we're going to come back at you. And we're going to defend ourselves, which means if I have the right to protect and defend, that means I have the right to kill. This is it. I'm not going to take the killer and cuddle him and protect him. This is old era. I'm going to talk about the new era and how a warrior rises to a higher level, but that's not now. This is the story that happened thousands of years ago, and now we're here. Okay, so then the portal of opportunity for you to stop every single stupid ass decree that you have made against yourself when you say about yourself to yourself with your mouth so that your ears can hear, and you say something to the effect of, you might say, oh, I am, or I always XYZ. And you say it with intention and emotions, and it's negative. You've made a decree that cannot be changed. You must take that decree and you have to enhance it and rise it to a higher level. Tonight, as the sun goes down, tomorrow, you have an opportunity to cancel every one of those decrees, to arrest them and to change them completely, and to become the glorious human being that you have been created to be. You are divinity itself, whether you're a man or you're a woman. So this is what's available to you. I didn't come late. I just came right in time so that you would know this. Okay. I'm going to talk about the 5 plots that were in this story. I want to talk about the certainty of success, which is part of this story. But I want to stop for a moment and come back to something that you all need to hear. Okay. And over the last couple of days, week, I've been making some notes about all of this. And this is somewhat impromptu. I didn't really plan this. Otherwise, I would have done it weeks ago. But let me tell you, that doesn't diminish the importance of it. And so I feel compelled to talk about this. Okay. So in order to do rectification for all the things that we've done, let me stop right there. In order to do that, you have to take personal responsibility. You're not taking personal responsibility. Why? Because it's so much easier to stay in your comfort zone. Like the king in Esther's story, he was in comfort zone and he didn't want to take personal responsibility. So he blames his wife and he has her killed for embarrassing him in front of all the dignitaries. They had been partying not for days, weeks, months. That's a long last party. Okay. So you must take personal responsibility. If you're a woman and you are like one of those wives that I had that want to use your power and seduction to create manipulation and hurt your own children and your husband and destroy the very fabric of society, and claim that you're a victim when you know that you're hidden and secretly being the controller and the aggressor, you need to repent. You need to accept it. And you need to take personal responsibility and say, I won't do that no more. I did it and I'm at fault. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Because, see, when women's right began is because you felt that you needed to rise up. But when you rose up, you became exactly like that monster that you were trying to stop. And that all the things that you said, I'm a victim in all these areas. Now you became, I'm gonna make payment. You're gonna pay me for that. And so now when women go into the workforce, you know what they do? They take on the imposter syndrome that says that they have to mimic that what a man looks like. And so now they're mimicking masculinity and as a female, and then they're saying, yeah, I have to use my masculinity or my masculine energy in order to be successful. Says who? Why don't you just be you and stop trying to be, like a man? Be you. Who said, look, I don't want to be with a guy. Don't come home and then act like you're the boss and you're in charge and you want to get all masculine on me. Because you know what? You become an aggressor. You become my opponent. And if you become my opponent, we have a fight. And if we have a fight, we're going to go to war. And now we can no longer hear what each other is saying because you're trying to speak my language and you're an imposter. And if you're a man and you're a collapsed man, and then you sit back and you wait and you become passive aggressive, now she's going to come talk to you and she's roughing you up with her words and everything else. And now you're acting like a big beer, right? And then you're acting like an imposter yourself, and you're doing passive aggressive crap. This stuff is not going to work. It ain't working for anybody. Take personal responsibility. And if you're one of those guys that abuse, lift up your hand and say, look, you know what? I was one of those abusers and I used to use all my masculine energy to force my way. And so for all you women, I'll start with me. On behalf of all masculinity in all the men, I ask your forgiveness. I take personal responsibility. And the buck stops here with me. I can't fix the past. I can only deal with what I have right now here. I encourage you to say the same thing right where you're standing. If you're a man and if you're a woman, do the same thing. Go ahead, try it. Watch the power of your words start to change the world. Okay, so women have a tendency today to say that the world is not fair. The world is fair. Stop your crap. You can vote, you can get jobs. Shut up with that, okay? Take personal responsibility. Stop modeling what doesn't work and stop taking vengeance on your family. Take that mask of the masculine off and just be a woman. Men, it's time. Look, let me tell you what the difference is. We will say, well, there's energies that are predominantly female, and then there's energies that are masculine, and that's why. So you got to be connected to, if you're a man, connect to your female. If you're a woman, connect to your masculine. No, let me tell you what. Women, are sweet, soft, tender, they're receptors, and they receive the seed of life given by a man, and then they grow something, and they're incredible. You give a woman a house, that turn it into a home. You give her the seed of life, she turns it into a child, right? That's you. I'll give you that. So men speak in a different language than women. See, the wounded mother syndrome is this God that's in the back of our head. Is that dark side, right? You hear what I'm saying? It's that dark side that's in us since birth, since conception to birth. Every worry that your mother had has been imbued into you, every fear, every anxiety, because there wasn't a man that protected her. And if that was the case, then now you got a double whammy. And when the father is ready to receive the child, he wasn't there because the system made sure that your father could not go into the birthing room. And now some things have changed. So things have changed. We can just stop the victimhood mentality. Okay. So what happens is, a man is very tender. He's compassionate, but we just do it in a different way. We speak a language of aggression. So I am a Krav Maga instructor. I teach self-defense. I know Spanish, sword fighting, Filipino martial art, my own style of machete, all of those things, right? So I really understand that. I told you that I grew up in a really crazy world. But listen. When I'm working with somebody who has become who's come to me and said they want to learn this art or a self-defense, I know them in a way that they don't know themselves. And they come and we're sparring, and all of a sudden what happens is, I see that they're off, and I'm like, hey, you want to slow down? You want to talk about this? Because you're not here, right? I'm clocking you, whatever. I'm doing this, and you're not you. And so you know what happens? A person says, yeah, you're right, coach. You're right, boss. You're right, dad. Whatever it is that they want to call me, right? Because I've been called all kinds of stuff, right? In a very positive way. So let's talk about it. You know what that is? That's called man intuition. I'm intuitive enough to my students to know when they're not in the right place. And so I'm changing the frequency, and I'm taking compassion upon them. And then on top of that, and I can do it in a group as well, but then on top of that, I solve the problem and I bring healing to their life. And when that's done, I say, hey, are you ready? Can we go back to sparring? And I elevate their confidence to a new level, because now when we're sparring, I'm going, there you are, you finally showed up. That's what I was looking for. And I congratulate them. This is the same thing as a woman with a child that says, oh, you have to be more compassionate, you have to be this, that, and there. Women speak that language in a different way, and men do. There is no such thing as female energy versus male energy, okay? What there is, it is what it is. And we need to have enough respect to learn from one another and our energies. It's as simple as that. Then we need to learn how to talk it so that we are not, accosting one another in our language, in our behavior, and in our actions. Okay, so there is that. Now, we need to understand that there is, functionality of different genders, and then there is the life force of each gender. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not trying to teach you that. I'm just trying to tell you that this is what we need to be addressing so that we can move to a higher level. And if this is of any good to you, and if you find it informative and you want to learn more, you know what to do. Ask. That's all you got to do. Okay. Now, talking about the festivities, right? In the festivities, we already talked that this king, we're going back to the story of Purim, the king is the one that says, hey, you know what? Let me tell you what. I'm going to do something and I'm going to replace my wife with somebody else. Okay. So in that party, he's showing off his women and everything else, and and his power and everything, but it's not working for him. So now, showing off with pomp and comfort zone is what's wrong, but because you're acting without consciousness, when in fact what you need to do is, you want to get pleasure without consequences. That's where the problem is. Okay. So that's your first plot. You're plotting against yourself. See, what every ruler wants to sell the people is that you can get away with whatever you want and have no consequences. Forgiveness of, student debts, free health care. Free health care? Why don't you take personal responsibility and be responsible over your own health? All right. So then what they want to do is say there, you don't have today is, oh, you know what, you could be a great coach and you don't have to work hard. All you got to do is pay me $10,000 and I'll show you how to be successful overnight, and I got you covered. I'll do it for you. I'll do it with you if that's what you want. It's the same story. If you don't show up personally, if you don't show up and show out with your voice, with your story, guess what? You're still a religious mindset. You still want somebody else to do it for you. It can be done, it's done, but that doesn't make it right. Okay, plot number one in the story of the king, Queen Esther, Mordecai, and Haman. Haman conspires to take the righteousness away from a man named Mordecai. And so, metaphysically speaking, there's always some lazy son of a gun who wants to pretend to be your friend. And what they're doing is they're getting ready to stab you in the back as they give you a hug, because what they want is they want information from you and knowledge so that they can use it against you and then set themselves up. That's the plot. Plot number one. This dude Haman is friend of the king, and he's like, even though Mordecai saved the king from being assassinated, Mordecai tried to use that to his advantage. Not Mordecai, but Haman, the bad dude, tried to use it against Mordecai, even though Mordecai is the one that said, hey, man, I uncovered a plot and these people are trying to kill you, right? So plot number one. Plot number two, the King's Association attempt. Let me see, the King's Association. All right. The problem with the king is he wanted to be elevated to even a higher instead of just being the true king. Look, your association is within yourself. It's called about personal alignment. If you're not aligned with you, then you need to seek associations with other people that are not you. And therefore, what you're doing is you're being false to yourself. Okay. So plot number two is align yourself with you. Like the king wanted everybody to like him, so he was making rules without really considering what was going on. And so, of course, plot number three is a genocide against the Jews at that time. However, any genocide is wrong. Everybody has a right to exist. There are people out there trying to eliminate a large percentage of humanity. Do you know that the earth, listen to me, if you were to take every human in relationship to how much land there is, we only cover less than 5% of the available land. Try crossing America once. I used to drive across, I have visited every state except Hawaii, and I'm coming, Hawaii. And you know what? Let me tell you what. There's so much land. You can drive for hours across this nation and see nothing but land, no homes. That equals to thousands of miles. There's plenty of land. I've been in Mexico. Mexico is huge. It's the same thing. I've been to South America. I'm telling you, there's so much land. The oceans are big, but there's so much land available. There is no such thing as scarcity. That's all pretend. Okay? So a genocide was the plan, a genocide against the Jews. You know, stuff. We need to stop this craziness. Okay, that's plot number 3, right? Plot number 4. Evil rulers promise consequence-less pleasure. Consequence-less. You need to catch that. And I don't have a little writing for those of you that are listening to me. Listen, take the word consequence-less and listen to this. Consequence-less. 3 different words combined into one. Is the CONS is to be together with, contigo. Sequence is that which follows, right? And then, less. That means minus something. And so consequenceless to the masses is a promise that every religious and every politician and every crook wants to give you. Look, the doctor says to you, just take this pill, you're going to be just fine. Consequenceless. There's no consequence. Just take the pill and come back. If that doesn't work, I'll give you 20 other pills. That's the problem. You're lazy. Okay? Just like in the Tower of Babel, okay? The story of the Tower of Babel is the technology of putting ideas in the mind of people so that they can be controlled, like the masses can be controlled by one person. During the Inquisition, the people escaped and they were not able to be controlled, so they got persecuted. But during the Nazi regime of the Third Reich, what happened was the book Mein Kampf, which is what's exactly being played out in the United States now, was used, and it wasn't that long ago. That was in the 1930s, okay? A couple of years after World War II, you know what happened? This regime came to power, and he controlled everybody by giving them a promise. I'll give you cars, I'll give you comfort, I'll give you a house, the Volkswagen, right? People's wagon. I'll give you all that stuff. Just vote for me, and I know what to do. And, I'll get rid of the problem. We'll blame it to those people, the Jews, and we'll take away their money. We'll take away their property. We'll take away, because they're taking jobs away from you. They're taking this, that, right? He turned them into victims. That's the technology that was used. That's the plot that was used here. And that's why tonight you have the power to control that and eliminate that from your life. And if you've been one of those people, then you can repent and you can change and you can claim that all those decrees that you have made on yourself and upon your people and over, ancestral wounds, you can eliminate all of that tonight. Okay. Plot number 5. My favorite. I'll teach you a little bit of Hebrew if I can real quick, right? The word for king in Hebrew is pronounced like melech. In the king, so that's king. And slightly little change, malach means angel. What you would in the English and Spanish change it into this divine creature with wings and that kind of stuff. All right. So but if you take that word and you flip it and you pronounce it backwards, it could be pronounced like clone or clone, like clone, okay? And it means nothing. So if you got lost, if you take the word in Hebrew for king and you write it backwards, it means nothing. A king is a messenger, a ruler, or the same letters backwards means the word klum, which means nothing in Hebrew. Hopefully you got that. So what does that mean? That you can eliminate everything about yourself in your mind, like I did when I was paralyzed from the neck down, when I felt that I had no use. Now, don't get me wrong, there were some people that helped me feel that way. Like all the people that were living off of all the benefits of me as a ruler, right? I was making the money, they were enjoying it, they were the benefactors, and then they tried to kill me and destroy me. My own children, my own family. And I believed that lie, and I became a ghost in my own story. I was a shadow of a man because I had put so much effort into being strong, powerful warrior. And when that was taken from me, I became a nobody. And then I believed I was a nobody. And that was my um, zero to hero journey. That was the hero's journey. And that was, the climax of my life, and the anvil of the crucible where I had to rediscover my real sense of value. That it's not in a woman, it's not in me loving somebody, it's in me loving me. That's the somebody I need to love. Okay, that's plot number 5. The king turns into nothing. They wanted to destroy the king and just use him by forcing them to obey the laws that he had created. Don't let your pride and your ego control your life. Woo-wee. Trauma terrorizes your mind from seeing who you are and the divinity that you really are. Okay? So, let me give me a moment here, all right? Trauma will steal your self-expression of your original state, which is light and oneness of God. It is what I will call in term lucid point equity. That's 3 words put together in one. Lucid point equity. When you get those moments when you're by yourself and you look in the mirror and you get a glimpse and you're like, did I just see you in your glory? And you see, and then you close your eyes and you walk away from that image because you don't believe that you can express yourself that way. That's what I'm talking about. Those moments of equality where you see your body not for what it is, but you see your soul awakened. And it's a moment of lucidity. And it's a point where you get to make another choice. Well, tonight, that portal is open for you. Tonight is your opportunity to say, I claim that lucid point equity, and I will no longer walk in shame. I will no longer walk in regret. I will no longer allow somebody to make me feel guilty. I will no longer have fear, which is about something in the past. And I will no longer have anxiety, which is something about in the future that has not yet happened. Okay? So you see, the king awakens from his sleep and he observes the records. Finding a discrepancy, he corrects his mistake. In the story, the original story of Esther, the king can't sleep because he's got a problem. He doesn't want to kill the Jews, and his new wife is a Jew, so he's got a problem. So he goes to the records, and in the Chronicles, he finds that there was a dude named Mordecai that actually saved the king from an assassination attempt. So that opens the door, because now he wants to reward him, and opens an opportunity that the king did not know. He didn't have the intuition what was going to happen, but he did want to make the right thing. That's called righteousness. He wanted to correct the wrong, because he had never rewarded the dude that actually helped him. So he goes about to do that, and that sets a chain of events. When you do the right thing, it'll set a chain of event that'll give you an opportunity to break free and to break through all the crap that you have been feeling shame, guilty, and resent. Simple as that. Okay? So your body is the ground by which you rule, right? Is the kingdom. All these decrees that you have sent out into your body. Look, don't have time to give you all the details, but as somebody who's a detox specialist and an iridologist, and somebody who spent 25 years in the medical field, I'm telling you, with a third generation herbalist, that's part of my background. I know that there is a physical body, and then there's an emotional body, and there's an astral body. And so when you have things that go wrong in your physical body, it affects your emotional, and you start collecting energies and you put them in places of trauma. And then eventually, like for example, if you hold anger for 30 years and you're always angry, you will have autoimmune system problems. You will have you very likely die from cancer, because anger is stored consistently in the same place. The emotion gets stored in the body, is what I'm getting at. Okay? So you have to take and ground all of that stuff and get rid of it. That's the king waking up and looking at the records, making the records right, which is, we already went through all of that. Okay, that is the fifth of the plots. It's the biggest one. And so what happens is you will learn this through biofeedback. So what I'm talking about biofeedback is not electronic. It is a technology, but it is the technology of knowing that your body has a capacity to give you information that something's not right, and you turn it off. And if you're a man, you're like, "Oh, I don't have a feeling. I don't feel anything." Brother, your intuition is turned off. That's all. You got feelings just like everybody else. Okay? Biofeedback is a system of mechanisms that you were gifted when you were born with. First one, just to get you connected, spatial resolution. I lost that when I was paralyzed, which means if I say, think about your butt, think about your feet, think about your toes right now. Think about your hair if you have any. You can think about your ears, your lower back, right? If you're sitting, you know where those pieces that I mentioned are in relationship to you. And you know where you're at in relationship to the earth around you, whether you're standing, sitting, face up, face down, whatever. But if you had lost that, which is what happened to me, I lost all relationship to my consciousness and my body's awareness. I didn't have that. That's what happened when you become a quadriplegic. And if you've been a quadriplegic or are one, right, you know what I'm talking about, that moment where you're like, shit, nothing makes sense. Okay? But that moment now where you can say, I'm in relationship to my body, my armpits are below my head because I'm standing, that is biofeedback in its simplest form. All right. And you can regain that, by the way. All right. So now we got that. And the biofeedback is information coming into balance with you. And so when you don't have it, the biofeedback and the information that's coming towards you is misinterpreted through the trauma, and therefore, and through the stored information that's overflowing, and that's what we call emotional pain. And we thus must know that we all possess the inalienable right to command happiness, peace, and abundance within us. I took happiness and I turned it into an acronym. And happiness acronym stands for happy, abundance, peace, profitability, integrity, natural energy, and sensual spirituality. Okay. And now, I told you we're going to talk about the certainty of success. The success of certainty is the elimination of doubt. I know that was fast, but you have to catch it and replay it. Because the only way you can be truly successful is if you imbued and embody and integrate happiness. Otherwise, you're afraid that you will lose it. And when you lose it, you will not be able to regain it. That's the difference. Alex Moses has said that, and most of the success people, and I'm saying the same thing, because once you understand what success is really about, it was never about the opportunities that were given to you. It was about the opportunities that you created through your own mastery, self-mastery. That means that you can regain it again, just like I have. Just simple as that. Okay. Now, accountability. Count the universe. Can the universe count on you? And can humanity count on your piece of the soul? So we all have a soul. We are a spirit and we all have a soul. But here's the thing about your soul. Your soul is such a tiny little piece of who you are. You might have a 1/25th piece of a soul. Or maybe you're one of those mad people that look like humans, but you're not, and you don't have a soul. And you're just a spirit that has embodied. I'm just messing with you, man. You know who I'm talking to. You need another half. You have one wing, and you need another soul to show up like an angel, those mystical creatures, and you wrap yourself around them, and together you can fly. You just got to find the right soul mate. That's what we're all looking for, a soul mate, somebody that you can fly with. And so I'm not going to get into any more detail about that. Okay. And so now the existence of evil is nothing more than somebody else's in the world's need for selfish behavior. I mean, evil, okay, real true evil is acting egotistically for your own sake. And when your ego is in charge and it feels large and in charge, then what happens is it's all about you. You're the big fish in the pond. And you don't care about anybody else. You are creating ripple effect in the water of vibration and in the waves of emotions that will create evil somewhere else. You cannot ignore that you are ignoring what to do is right. And that's why sex trafficking is and human slavery is a problem for everybody. I'm going to get to AI. It's about slavery. And now, the existence of sin in one's own life is the doubt of your own divinity and the laziness to pursue it. So I was sparring with my son, who, my God, my biological son, it's not because he's my son, it's just because the dude is just incredible. He's 37 years old now. But when 20 years ago, he asked me a question, he's like, hey, Dad, I don't even know if the guy remembers it. He says, hey, Dad, what's the malady of mankind? Our laziness or our sinfulness? Say, and I'm like, wow, son, I have no idea. And we got to talking, and the reality is it's both. So the existence of sin in your life, sin being missing the mark. Sin is a Greek translated into the English terminology that has to do with archery. sin is missing the mark, but in the Hebrew, sin is selfishness, acts that I do for my own sake and my sake only. Okay, happens because you doubt your own personal divinity, and or you're too lazy to pursue the reality of who you are. You just don't put enough time. Again, to quote Alex Hormozi, he says, you know what? It's not that you're not capable of doing XYZ as an entrepreneur. It's that you're too lazy. You don't put in the time. He trained and practiced 100 times before he gave a presentation, and that's why he was successful when he launched his second book. That's his point. Work, proof, and work and work and work until you're so bored that you could do it with your eyes closed. You might be ready at that time. That's him. Okay. So the existence of sin, I already said it several times, right, is nothing more than you not taking personal responsibility over the results that you get. Period. How do you take responsibility? Look, find somebody that's doing something similar. Go somebody that's a couple steps in front of you. Don't be so egotistical that you don't need any help. Just ask for help. Asking with the right intent produces alignment of your soul's mission. Okay? Ask king. Ask as you are the king and the ruler. As a king, make the right intent when you're making decrees about your life, and your life will change. This will produce alignment and balance within you. So now, I want you to know, just like everybody else, there's a dash in your life that you're going to have to deal with. That dash, if you go to the cemeteries and wherever else, they have a date, a dash, and another date. And that is to signify the beginning of time, a space of time of undetermined magnitude, and the end of that time. Beginning, middle, and end. Okay? Beginning, middle, and end. When I write the word God, and when I'm talking about divinity and God, that you are God, right? In you, I write a G, capital G, dash, capital D, meaning that in between God and the devil, there's a space, and that space is only filled by you, your existence. You decide. Okay? So not only that, so let's define the dash. The dash is your life. The dash is unknown magnitude. The dash is your spaceship. The dash, listen, I'm going to close with this. The dash, only you can determine. So now, the last piece of a Hebrew language that I want to share with you today is that the word truth, pronounced in the Hebrew, is emet. Okay? And if you were to look at it alphabetically, that would be the first letter of the Hebrew language and the last letter of the Hebrew language. And the middle, almost the middle, because it's 22 letters, so it's not a specific, right, like the down in, it's not 23 or it's an odd number, but it's right almost in the middle is M. Okay? So that's why emet, which means this: you cannot judge truth looking at the beginning or just looking at the end and say, oh, that guy was a great guy, because you need to look at the middle. You need to look at the beginning and at the end, all of it. In order for there to be truth, you must take the beginning, the middle, and the end. And this is truth. Truth is that which always was, which always will be, and which is right now. Okay, so you know the truth of what a man is. You know the truth of what a woman is. You know the truth of what a child is. And you know the truth of what a human is. You know the truth. You know the truth. You know the truth. Nobody needs, you don't need to go to somebody and say, are you my mama? Are you like the ugly duckling that's running around saying, who are you? Who am I based on who you are? You know the truth. You know what's right. Nobody needs to make you happy. You know what makes you happy. Hang out with people that are like you, that make you happy. That's not being selfish. You know what that is? It's finding your group, it's finding your tribe and work together. And you know that you can do that without hurting somebody else. I've been here long enough, and now the sun is past the tree line and darkness is coming. And I'm about to close. And I just want to tell you, just because darkness is showing up does not mean that you need to opaque your personal light, because you know what's true. You know what truth is. And you also know what righteousness is. To do right is that it's a simple rule, really. Just like Emet has three, there's simple rules for living. Don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt others. And leave a legacy worthwhile telling, a story worthwhile listening. That's it. So I wanted to get to this point, and I'm glad that I did. According to my perceived clock, I finished my goal. I hope this was beneficial to you. Look, I shouldn't say that. That's false humbleness. I know it's beneficial to you because I've been walking this earth long enough to know that when you think you're 20 or 17 and you think in a totally different way, and when you have died and come back to life, when you have been a shadow and can come back from that, when you have been broken, poor, and you can come back from all of those things, you get to see life from a totally different place. You have the discernment. You are a truth seeker. Therefore, seek truth first. Stop seeking performance over mastery. Stop looking for facts over intuition and truth. Stop blind obedience and know that you have the capacity to create a life that's worth following without hurting people, without hurting yourself. And I am officially done with you. Please let me know if any of this helped you. As far as you, thank you for taking the time to listen. If you want to follow, follow. If you want to make a comment, do it. But either way, the ball is in your court. And in 2024, it is time for mankind, specifically for men, to rise up. Because just to quote an ancient book that's about 2,000 years old, says this, that of all the things seen and unseen, the whole of creation groans and moans, waiting for the sons of God to reveal themselves. If you're a religious person and you consider yourself the son of God, descendant of, of deity, in any way, shape, or form, the world is waiting for you to show up, to reveal yourself, and to change by the power of your manhood and your divine masculinity. AI is waiting on you to be righteous, whether it wants to obey or it will see you as a plague because you're doing it out of fear. Anything that you do out of fear will be destructive in the long run. But anything that you do out of divinity will sustain and provide more life. I'm not speaking to everybody, but I am speaking to a few. And if that's who you are, and you really want a change in your life, and you want to make an impact, you want to change the world around you, I've given you enough information to do so. Take the next step and make it happen. And what they tell me is in Generation X or whatever generation you are, that you got to tell people the most simple things, as in like the video, comment, write to me, contact me so that I can help you get to the next place. If you need help or you just want more information, then start following me. You know what? That should all be common sense. Done.